Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Coming on Sundown because today we're talking about horrible working conditions. Oh, God. You know, we all know about the tyrannical nature of these gazillion-dollar companies that treat their workers poorly. Maybe you as a viewer even work for one of these tyrants. Amazon. Heard about the bad stuff they're doing? Piss jugs and such? How about Apple? Oh, and Nestle. Nestle, they make the Nesquik.
Children's bones.
Here's a conspiracy theory. Is Nestle chocolate powder ground up children bones? Can we be sued for this? Is that slander or something? No, guys, I'm serious. This is real. You know, it's common for big businesses to do whatever they want so they can squeeze as much work out of people as they can for as little pay. You know, and listen, I am a businessman through and through. I have this YouTube channel. I have various other things happening out throughout, you know, my career, jobs, whatever. And I hope that my employees are just happy that they are here, that hopefully they feel like they're treated fairly, because I love and respect all my beautiful angels. And yes, they did even send me, I did there's a suggestion box or something, which feels so played out, but at the studio, I had people make videos and talk about just some of the things that they like, or maybe some of the things that they want to be fixed here, like, Harry and Nick want a massage chair. I'll get to it, guys, but until then, here's one of them now. I hope they're good. I haven't seen them yet, so. Did people send in the videos yet?
Well, they're still sleeping. It is 3 a.m.
I emailed them. Listen, the first couple that we got so far, it's bullshit. Like, I mean, censor that, okay? No, I'm serious.
I will. I'm gonna talk to them too.
Yeah, you need to. That's your job. J-O-B, do you know how to spell?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Hunter wants to know what you guys think about work. Oh, see, yeah, they like it down there. They love working for Papa Meat. Alright, see you guys.
There comes a point where things delve into a realm of straight-up cruelty, when morals are thrown out the window in favor of maximizing output and profits at any cost. We are tiptoeing very close to this YouTube channel. We gotta watch out. Mostly you, Nick.
What?
This can result in nightmarish business practices, which are often hidden from the public. Occasionally, word will spread, giving us a glimpse into the depraved working conditions of these massive, massive companies. Did you see Alien Romulus?
No.
The beginning of Alien Romulus looked like an Amazon factory.
That's gonna be Mars when Elon conquers it.
When Emperor God Elon? So today, listen, guys, today I just want to talk about some of the scariest and deadliest working conditions on planet Earth. Roll the intro.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, we don't want to go to war today. But the Lord of the Lashes says, nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way.
This idea came to fruition because of an article that me and Nick were fascinated with, which is about OpenAI and Sama working conditions, which are just like, you know, AI technology companies, whatever. But there was a very interesting article that came out. You might have heard of products like ChatGPT, DALL-E, Sora. These are like the leading companies of AI and, you know, computer learning and all that other bullshit that's raking in billions and billions of dollars a month, maybe even gazillions a year. What's after billions?
Quadrillions.
What's after quadrillions?
Pentillions.
When the is gazillion? Is gazillion even real?
Gazillions, mate. That's.
You're telling me right now that gazillion isn't even a real number? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there goes my intelligence. Creating an AI model trained by the media and the internet means that inevitably there's gonna be issues. If we've seen some of the little dicey things that happen online, might not want computers learning from that. I don't want AI learning from that. Okay. Early on, people were finding clever ways to trick ChatGPT into bypassing its own moderation filters in order to spew racist language or even instruct people on how to properly build explosives, right? These people were able to basically trick the code, and all of a sudden now these AI models are saying some dicey stuff and they're telling children how to build literal explosives. And that led to DALL-E giving disturbing images that it was learning from because people were able to bypass and do all that kind of stuff. Basically, moral of the story, a job was created. Content moderation. OpenAI began outsourcing the job to a company called Sama, a data training company that focuses mainly on AI algorithms. Workers from Kenya were hired as data laborers, which essentially meant parsing through thousands of images and videos to identify objects and help the AI understand how to identify them on its own, right? AKA, they were taking images of dead children, maybe child pornography, all kinds of stuff, and they were making these people sitting in a room and just be like, that's bad, to the computer, so the computer could just be this weird hive mind that's just like... Sama had absurdly high expectations, pressuring employees to identify complex videos and images at breakneck speeds, sometimes being given only a few seconds per labeling task, right? Was that a dead kid? Was that a dead kid? Within a 9-hour shift, they rushed to read and properly label up to 250 passages of text to avoid being punished. What is Sama doing back there? How are they punishing people? I know it is. They're like, all right, I'm fired. No. You're not fired. You go a level deeper. They go, a little hatch in the floor and throw it up. According to a 60-minute interview with Sama employees, completing the work allotted in their contract in advance never resulted in extra pay. Instead, they received, and this is a perk, they would receive 2 pieces of KFC chicken and a bottle of soda.
They used to say, thank you, they get you a bottle of soda and KFC chicken, 2 pieces, and that is it.
Not bad. Not bad, dude. Colonel, I could have a couple pieces of chicken from the family bucket.
Hold on, this seems very racist. 2 pieces of chicken?
Listen, you can say it's racist from Sama or anything, but if you know what, I love the Colonel. Granted, I would love just more pay, but if they're giving me cherry Coke and a couple thighs, then why not, dude? It was normal for workers who had children and struggled to find work to live paycheck to paycheck at Sama. That's strange. Wow. It's so crazy to me where it's like, well, first off, I want to know, is there research? How many people are there? Even if it was thousands, you're telling me you can't throw
A 3rd chicken wing?
yeah, another family bucket? No, I just mean like, you can't get them up fucking $15 an hour. I am the CEO of these channels. You think I'm not trying to line my pockets as well? I get it, all right, but I try to keep my boys happy, all right? Only when my boys are happy does this whole gravy train keep rolling.
That's why we get a bucket of KFC every day.
I'm not giving you a bucket of KFC. I know what I said, but I'm not going to. Your cholesterol is far too high, and that's coming from me. The job itself slowly became more and more bleak as the labeling tasks became downright disturbing. Because the AI models needed to identify and prohibit inappropriate language and images, many Sama employees spent entire work weeks combing through shocking visuals and text descriptions of vulgar content. Like pornography, drone attack, self-unaliving, dismembered bodies, bestiality, child abuse, sexual slavery, and even sexual acts against children. God damn, dude, what the fuck?
If you can think it, they saw it.
Yeah, if they can think it, they're just like, we're gonna have you use nothing but Bing search engines and Ask Jeeves. They're just like, oh no. One employee states that he endured repeated visions of some of the more disturbing texts, like a man having the dog in the presence of a young child. Gotta get those AI machines to learn somehow, right, boys? Here's $1.32 an hour. Thanks for that. Yeah, hey, you know what? For you, you're gonna get an extra chicken thigh today at lunch. Don't tell the others. Other employees were tasked with reading erotic online stories. Me too. In one case, a Batman fanfiction in which Robin is sexually assaulted by the villains.
Robin! No!
Sorry, Batman, but it looks like this bird's about to be plucked.
No!
I bet the other guy's pissed. That's all you read about Robin getting his sucked by the Joker. But desperate for their paycheck, they did their job despite the psychological damage. And one employee reveals that they found themselves crying more in their daily lives due to the trauma after seeing these images. Another employee, Naftali Wambalo, admits that he struggles to enjoy sex with his wife after being forced to watch an endless stream of graphic material.
On the job that I was doing, I had sex.
all for people to just be like, to go to ChatGPT and be like, search image Boogie 2988 but Chinese. It's like, cool. And there's a guy who's just like sitting at home, like at Sama, strapped in like in the Clockwork Orange. All for some 8-year-old to be like, how to get Robux. And after 8 months, in February of 2022, Sama canceled the project with OpenAI. The employees, however, wanted them punished for their actions. Over 200 employees are currently in the process of suing Sama for poor work conditions. This extends to Meta as well, who previously used the same services to improve their content moderation as well. Content moderation? That'd be mind-numbing. I did solar panels, like worked in the solar industry for a bit, like sending techs out to do solar or whatever. I thought that was mind-numbing. I can't even imagine what it's like sitting there having to read fan fiction. Like actually read it too, and if you don't do it, they're like, bye, and you're like totally just reliant. It's But let's hop on over to China, how about we, and talk about Shein. Shein is a Chinese clothing brand that creates fast fashion, which means producing clothes exclusively for online purchase at a rapid pace for incredibly cheap prices. Not only is fast fashion responsible for a lot of the environmental issues like greenhouse gas emissions, if you believe in that garbage, be sure to flash joking, dude, but it is often the culprit of incredibly unsafe work conditions. Companies like Shein subcontract their work to unregulated factories, and it is common that places like this do not follow proper labor laws, aka you get some children in there sewing. You get people pulling all-nighters, operating heavy machinery operating heavy machinery that could just mangle your body in an instance. They're just like, you've been awake how long? He's like, 28 hours. Okay, we're gonna need you to stay a little later today. Got a bunch of yoga pants that we need you to sew up today. Is that okay? I guess. Public Eye, a Swiss company, exposed Shein for its horrible working conditions. After speaking to 13 employees from different factories across China that supplied to Shein, it was clear that they were being worked to the bone to reach their harsh deadlines.
Sounds like just 13 disgruntled employees. There's a lot of people in China.
Yeah, there's billions of people in China and we're gonna nitpick 13 of them. Shein makes the best underwear I have. It'd be a problem if they stopped manufacturing them. In order to allow companies like Shein to produce new lines of clothing at the speeds they require, many workers were pushed to commit to a 75-hour work week or more. And one employee stated, and I quote, "I work every day from 8 in the morning to 10:30 at night, and I take 1 day off each month. Can't afford any more days off because it costs too much." God damn, what would you do during that? I don't know what I would do with myself on my day off.
Spa day.
Yeah, you just go to the spot. It's worth it. It's spa day. But the next day, immediately, you're just like, back on the 14-hour grind. Many worked an average of 12-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week. Imagine working 12 hours a day and never getting a day off. Imagine that. And don't say that's what your life is now, dude, because it's not true. This is despite Shein insisting their code of conduct that 60 hours was the maximum hours an employee could work. That's all you can work. Go home. No, seriously, go home. I guess he just wants to stay.
Well, you see, they can only work 60 hours on the books.
No, yeah,
the
exactly.
rest of it is donated time.
We'll pay under the table. It's like, my overtime, I'm getting paid less. I know. If you want to stay here and work, man, it's fine, but it's going to be cut in half. In a documentary called Inside the Shein Machine, Untold, hidden cameras revealed that some employees were working for as long as 18 hours a day, earning a measly 2 cents per item. So you need a lot of pennies to make it out of that hole, dude. Although employees worked around the clock, they received pay lower than the livable wage in China. And on top of this, workers who make mistakes often pay the price with their wallet. I like how it's like, yeah, if you up, they're like, we gotta pay for that. Jesus, dude. According to Public Eye, mothers and fathers were babysitting their children inside the factories. And in some cases, teenagers were seen packaging boxes. Although Shein denies the claim of any sort of child labor occurs in the factory. They're like, that doesn't happen. It's like a baby walking with like a hard hat on. He's actually 46 years old, right?
The Benjamin Button disease.
That's Gulong Button. Dude, do you think, has China ever done a Benjamin Button of their own? It's not called Benjamin Button, but it's called, his name's like Lo Kim Button.
Lee Button.
Lee Button? Dude, Lee Button would rule. Or I guess it would be Button Lee.
Yeah, Button Lee.
And Shein has tried to use their PR team to like make themselves look better, partnering with influencers and such.
I think my biggest takeaway from this trip is to be an independent thinker, get the facts and see it with your own 2 eyes. There's a narrative fed to us in the US, and I'm one that always likes to be open-minded and seek the truth. So I'm grateful for that about myself, and I hope the same for you guys.
But after other videos come out and just to expose them even more, I'm pretty sure all of their their influencer partnerships have ended. Shein is a piece of shit. All right, that's just all I gotta say. Also, I just want to say too, just because we're on China and people basically having to work those wages. Have you seen that thing in what is it, like Beijing or something like that, where it's like people will rent out one bedroom apartment, but then they'll make like cages that are their own rooms and they'll stack it on. I forgot. I think they're just called cage apartments or something like that. It's crazy. But then they're like, I can barely afford this, dude. Living in China would not be dope.
But I've seen videos where everyone's happy and it's futuristic.
No, dude. Shen Yun told me it's bad, therefore I'm not going. Let's move over to Packer Sanitation Services. Packer Sanitation Services is a company that specializes in cleaning slaughterhouse facilities all across the country. Which if you haven't been to a slaughterhouse, or if you didn't grow up in the South or Midwest like I got to, let me tell you, slaughterhouses are one of the most vile, disgusting things you'll ever see in your life, and it is one of the worst smells of all time. Also, do you want to just feel perpetually sad? You like that? Get me over to Shein, actually. I don't want to do this one. In 2022, PSSI was accused of using illegal child labor for its sanitation services. Over 100 teenagers between the ages of 13 to 17 years old worked overnight shifts performing dangerous tasks. And it's against federal laws for minors to work at a meatpacking facility, as the hours conflict with average child school schedule. This also breaks the Fair Labor Standards Act, which forbids minors from working in hazardous work environments.
I was gonna say, that's the more important one.
Yeah, hazardous schools. She's like, yeah, but they also go to school at this time, dude. Also, for all these are all these country bumpkins, dude, that are doing this. They're just like, well, I guess I'm gonna go up there and clean the slaughterhouse today. That's a 13-year-old. Well, I guess me and Pa are gonna go up and see if we can't clean out the pig trough there today. Yeah, I'm sure Cletus is going to school. I'm gonna go to school tomorrow. I got a tummy ache today. The job duties involved cleaning various sharp blades used to cut meat, like brisket saws, brisket, and head splitters. Doing so means the use of incredibly hazardous chemicals. The work at PSSI has resulted in many fatalities in the past, and in 2019, that led to the death of Antonia Gutierrez. The man climbed into a chiller tank as he was cleaning it, only to get caught between the moving auger blades and decapitated himself as he screamed for help. He was literally cleaning a saw trap, and he became a saw victim. As the investigation started, PSSI did whatever they could to stop evidence from being discovered. When investigators would interview the children, PSSI managers reportedly surrounded the entire room so they could stare them down as they answer questions in order to pressure them to lie. Now, Cletus, did you climb in and clean any of the blades? I did not clean any of them blades. What about you, Buttonly? Oh. Okay. After interviewing some of the children involved, it was revealed that their shifts sometimes went from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. up to 7 days a week. I tell you too, some of the Southern boys too, they're just like, I already got a full-time job. I'm playing, down at Randy's there on the corner. I'm planning on getting a truck next Thursday. My daddy says if I stick with it, I might be up to 10 within next summer. You're 7 years old. Yes, sir. The younger children would either miss school or fall asleep during classes. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's the... Cletus, you want to wake up? We're talking about algebra. I ain't going to be no scientist or rocket scientist. I don't need to know numbers. I gotta think of something funnier. Whatever. The investigation across other PSSI sites revealed that many minors were employed, and eventually they were forced to pay the sum of $15,138 per minor working there, and in the end, they paid $1.5 million in penalties. I bet you anything, they're just like, okay, I'll pay that. Also, Cletus is still working here. I'm not firing him. He's our best cleaner. Or how about, let's get back into technology, dude. I'm tired of all these. Who gives a about these inbred redneck pieces of shit? I'm talking about, I want to go into tech again. That's where the money is. Foxconn Technology Group is a Taiwanese electronics manufacturer that partners with some of the biggest companies in the world, mostly Apple, to create their products. In 2022 alone, they reached more than 760,000 employees. The phrase iPhone City refers to the central manufacturing hub in Zhengzhou, China, that at one point produced half of the world's iPhones and other Apple products. It stretches 5.6 kilometers, employing 200,000 workers. While the pay is better than other options in the area, the work is grueling. A man that goes by Hunter commented that the job was like, quote, working under a whip, rapidly completing the same task endlessly, day after day, forced to stay utterly silent for the entire duration of their shift. I do like how they're just like, hey man, how's your day? Shut up! Made the iPhone! Amongst the pandemic, Foxconn insisted that those who wanted to work there must move into the dormitory rooms inside of the factory. Oof. The rooms themselves were 6 square meters and were shared with other employees. The rooms had no windows, so employees had no clue of what time of day it was. Jesus Christ, looks like an army barracks, doesn't it? On the job, his managers did not want him or anyone working to stop even for a mere second. He recalled seeing one employee have his pay rate reduced for simply drinking water for slightly too long.
What?
What does that even mean? Okay, dude, that's excessive. And one employee revealed that they would have to sprint to the bathroom if they wished to use it and return without getting scolded.
That sounds like Amazon.
It does sound like Amazon. If there's piss jugs, then it might just be Amazon. During COVID, workers were told that they shouldn't get tested for the virus so that they could continue working and not be forced to quarantine. Because of this, workers would be squeezed between other feverish workers for 11-hour days. Everybody's getting sick at that job. It was normal to see employees acting erratic from the working conditions, passing out from exhaustion, and attempting to unalive themselves from sheer stress. Some revealed that when a worker made a particularly big mistake, they would make them write a letter of apology that would be read out loud in front of other employees to embarrass them and make an example out of them.
Jesus.
They're making iPhones, dude. These are definitely power trip people that have like been in those roles before. Now they're out. So now they're like, I'm gonna treat everyone like a piece of shit. Foxconn did what they could to stop stories about their poor working conditions from being released to the public, even resulting in dragging a Reuters journalist out of his car and beating him for trying to take photos.
Jesus.
I like, he's just like taking a photo of something else and they're just like, get him! Foxconn's biggest scandal was in 2010, when it was revealed that the workers from Longu were jumping off dorm buildings in droves, unaliving themselves in desperation. And after 18 attempts and 14 confirmed deaths, large nets had to be installed outside the buildings to catch falling bodies, which people now the nets have become, I think, a kind of a widespread thing. But imagine that. Your working conditions are so bad that they actually put McDonald's giant play nets out. You know what I mean? Like for the play place when you would like fall through the thing. Unbelievable. In 2012, workers used this bad PR to force better work conditions, and 150 workers had climbed to the rooftops and threatened management that they would all jump unless their demands were met. And also, there's quite literally an entire Wikipedia page of people who have taken their own life from Foxconn. One entry for Soon Dan Yong states that he, quote, threw himself from an apartment building after losing an iPhone prototype in his possession. And before death, he claimed he was beaten and his residence searched by Foxconn employees.
I'm wondering if that's what started it, because I remember that was big news. I think he was at a bar and he left the phone at the bar.
Yeah, it was like a prototype thing, and he's like, oh, I left the thing there, which, oopsie daisy, whatever it, you know. I guess if it's a prototype, it's a big deal, but at the same time, too, it's like, you know that there was some unruly shit that they did to him, tortured him, did all kinds of shit. Drive somebody to death? Come on. But to close out the video, we're going to talk about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. Let's go back in time a little bit, dude. We're talking about too much real stuff now. Let's go back in time to where the world was black and white and things were just a bit more silly. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory operated in the top of 3 floors of the Ox Building in Manhattan. It was essentially a sweatshop that hired teenage immigrant girls, working them for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for very little pay. The working conditions were very poor. These are some of the things. The building was unsanitary. The air quality was poor and the room was not air conditioned. Bathrooms hardly worked. The stairwells were poorly lit, and the sprinkler system in the building did not work. That's foreshadowing. You like foreshadowing? Considering everything that they were creating was highly flammable, this was as unsafe as it gets. Suddenly, a random spark in the building turned into a fire. Managers tried to clear it quickly with fire hose, only to find out that it was rusted shut, with no sprinklers to weaken the flames. They spread rapidly as they lit the garments ablaze. 600 workers rushed to the elevators to escape, having to exit in groups of 12 before eventually shut down. For the rest of the women stuck on the top floor, they had no choice but to jump down the elevator shafts to their deaths. The stairwells led to doors that were locked, leading to more women burning to death. Firefighters arriving on the scene witnessed girls jumping out of windows, completely out of options as the fire inched closer and closer. Not only did they die, but some landed on top of fire hoses, slowing down the firefighters' ability to fight the fire. Firefighters' nets were laid out to catch the rest of the jumpers, only for multiple women to jump simultaneously, ripping them open and ending their lives. Ultimately, 146 people died in the span of 18 minutes. It was a huge disaster, one that led to worker safety being taken much more seriously, and people pushed heavily for reform, resulting in worker protection laws as well as high standards for factory operations. I'm almost positive that led to like buildings having fire exits and stuff. It's genuinely alarming how companies can force people to, in poor living areas, poor living conditions, to strong arm them into these horrible jobs, making iPhones the worst job. Out of all the, well, let me ask you this. All these jobs are horrible. Just want to say that. Horrible things that happen. Out of all those jobs, what were the ones that you think, which was the worst job?
With the Sama thing, you are mentally being like tortured, but
yeah.
Then Foxconn is almost the same because it's like you're living in a dorm.
I feel like out of today's list, Foxconn was the one that scared me the most. Listen, all of them horrible. I'm just saying Foxconn, it felt like it was just the worst of everything. So I just gotta say this. If you find a good job, hold on to it tight. Don't take shit from any employers who try to fuck with you. And you know, Godspeed with this crazy work adventure. Amazon, I use them almost every day. Apple, I use my iPhone every day. I'm a part of the problem. Take me out. No, literally shoot me in the head. Take me out. Also, all the employees who talked about my working conditions here at the studio, I just want to say they've all been fired, and they've been replaced with 9-year-old Alabama children who are cleaning up the studio as we speak. So, you know, sucks to suck. Public Eye, a Swiss advocacy. Public Eye, a Swiss I can't say that, dude. Public Eye, a Swiss advocacy. I can't say that. Public Eye, a Swiss good people group. Public Eye, a Swiss advocacy. Public Eye, a Swiss
support company.
Public Eye, a Swiss company, exposed Shein for its horrible working conditions.